Imagine this: two state banquets, 7 days apart. Madrid, then Windsor Castle. The German presidential couple received the full royal treatment: glittering dinners, diplomatic speeches, and jewelry that hadn't been seen in decades. But when Queen Letizia and Princess Catherine stepped into those banquet halls, they weren't just wearing beautiful tiaras. They were making powerful statements. Letizia chose a piece that its original owner hated so much she had it completely destroyed and remade. And Catherine? She debuted a tiara that Queen Elizabeth II owned for 20 years, but wore exactly once before locking it away forever. And here's the kicker: both tiaras carry German royal blood in their history, making them perfect diplomatic messages written in diamonds and rubies. 5 royal women, 5 extraordinary pieces, and stories that reveal more than any speech could ever say. Let's dive in. The tiara a queen hated, and why Letizia chose it anyway. We start where the diplomatic tour began, in Madrid, with a queen who made a choice that honored both her predecessor's pain and her guests' heritage. Queen Letizia appeared at the Madrid state banquet wearing the Cartier pearl tiara, and the moment you understand its history, you'll see why this choice was both deeply personal and diplomatically brilliant. This tiara begins with rejection. It's 1906. Queen Victoria Eugenie, known as Enna, marries King Alfonso XIII of Spain. It should have been the happiest day of her life, but there was an assassination attempt during the procession. Bombs. Terror. Not exactly the fairy tale wedding she'd imagined. And then there was the wedding gift from her mother-in-law. Queen Maria Cristina commissioned the Spanish jeweler Anserina to create a diamond and pearl tiara as a wedding present. Enna received it with all the appropriate gratitude, and then she never wore it. Not once. There isn't a single photograph of Queen Enna wearing that original Anserina creation. Think about that for a moment. Your mother-in-law gives you a tiara for your wedding, and you dislike it so much that you refuse to ever put it on your head. Talk about a diplomatic nightmare. But here's where it gets interesting. Enna didn't just let it sit in a vault gathering dust. In the early 20th century, she made a bold decision. She had it completely dismantled and sent the materials to Cartier in Paris. What emerged was an Edwardian-inspired masterpiece, 6 diamond leaf elements, each centered by a large button pearl, with a 7th pearl crowning the apex. It was everything the original wasn't: elegant, modern, and entirely to her taste. Enna had taken something she couldn't bear to wear and transformed it into something she loved. Now that's what I call taking control of your narrative. But the story gets even better. Queen Enna inherited emeralds from her godmother, Empress Anne Eugenie of France, and she had those emeralds set into the tiara, in place of the pearls. Suddenly, she had 2 tiaras in one: pearls for some occasions, emeralds for others. The emerald version was photographed for Life magazine in 1947 when Queen Enna stayed at Claridge's Hotel in London for the future Queen Elizabeth II's wedding. The versatility, the transformation, it showed how royal women exercised creative control over their jewels, refusing to be bound by what others chose for them. And here's the diplomatic genius part. Queen Enna's father was Prince Henry of Battenberg, making her German royal heritage significant. The Battenberg line, later anglicized to Mountbatten, runs through European royalty like a golden thread. When Letizia chose this tiara for the German presidential tour, she was honoring that connection, acknowledging that European royal families are bound together by blood and history. It's the kind of thoughtful selection that speaks volumes without saying a word. The exile and return. When the Spanish monarchy went into exile in 1931, Enna faced difficult choices. She sold some jewels to support herself, but she held on to this tiara. It meant something to her. After Anna's death in 1969, the tiara eventually made its way back to the Spanish royal collection through a remarkable decision by her daughter, who sold it back to King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia, recognizing its historical importance to Spain. Queen Sofia wore it extensively. At Crown Prince Frederick of Denmark's wedding in 2004, in her final official portrait as Spain's queen, it became one of her signature pieces. Since 2018, Queen Letizia has been its exclusive wearer. Letizia paired the tiara with diamond earrings that were wedding gifts from King Alfonso XIII to Queen Ina in 1906, part of the Joyas de Pasar collection that passes from monarch to monarch. And on her left index finger, her gold quartern ring, believed to be a sentimental gift from King Felipe, which she's worn consistently since January 2023. Even in full state regalia, she carried a piece that represents her personal bond with her husband. This wasn't just about looking beautiful. This was about telling a story of transformation, resilience, and connection. Wearing Elizabeth's shadow, Camilla's most iconic choice. 7 days later at Windsor Castle, Queen Camilla made a choice that connected her to two of the most revered women in British royal history. She wore the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. And if you've ever seen a photograph of Queen Elizabeth II, on coins, postage stamps, banknotes, or in countless official portraits, you've seen this tiara. It became synonymous with her image for decades. But let's go back to where it started, because the origin story is remarkable. In 1893, Princess May of Teck, the future Queen Mary, was about to marry the Duke of York, who would become King George V. A committee called the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland, headed by Lady Eva Greville, raised funds to purchase a wedding gift. They commissioned this tiara from Gerard. And here's what makes it extraordinary. They had a surplus of £3,000. Lady Greville didn't pocket the difference. She donated it to the widows and children of 350 sailors lost on HMS Victoria. The tiara's origin story is one of collective generosity and compassion. Ordinary women across Britain contributing to give their future queen something beautiful, then using the remainder to help those in need. How incredible is that? Queen Mary, who had very strong opinions about jewelry, altered the tiara in 1914. She removed the original pearl toppers and replaced them with diamonds from the Surrey fringe tiara, adding those pearls to her lover's knot tiara instead. And if you look at the shadow it casts, you can see a row of girls holding hands, a touching detail that honors its democratic origins. Elizabeth's signature piece. In 1947, Queen Mary gave the tiara to her granddaughter, Princess Elizabeth, as a wedding gift. It appeared in Dorothy Wilding's first official portraits of the young queen, images that would define her public face for decades. She wore it for countless state visits throughout her 1953 Commonwealth tour and for coronation events around the world. The tiara's distinctive silhouette became so associated with Queen Elizabeth II that it appeared on banknotes. When people around the world thought of the British Queen, they saw this tiara. The tiara had just returned from the Edwardians exhibition at Buckingham Palace when Camilla selected it for the German state banquet. At 78, she demonstrated that royal elegance transcends age, wearing this substantial piece with grace and confidence. But the choice carried weight beyond aesthetics. By wearing the tiara most associated with Queen Elizabeth II, Camilla was honoring her mother-in-law's memory while asserting continuity within the institution. She was saying, "The monarchy continues, the traditions endure." She paired it with the Greville Emerald Necklace, Another piece with a fascinating story. Dame Margaret Greville was a prominent society hostess and close friend of Queen Mary. She was also extraordinarily wealthy with a jewelry collection that rivaled many royal families. When she died in 1942, she left her spectacular jewelry collection to Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. The bequest contained over 60 pieces, many still unknown to the public. This emerald necklace features large square emeralds set in ornate diamond frames with an emerald and diamond pendant. There are rumors, unconfirmed but persistent, that it originated from either Empress Josephine or Queen Marie Antoinette's collection. The Queen Mother wore it frequently throughout the 1960s and 1970s. After her death in 2002, it passed to Queen Elizabeth II, but remained unseen publicly for over 20 decades. The necklace sat in the vault, unworn, until Camilla began wearing it. Its appearance at the German state banquet represents a new chapter in its history, a piece brought back from darkness into the light. Camilla completed her ensemble with Queen Victoria's diamond bar brooch secured to her sash, the Queen Mother's Cartier Art Deco bracelets, and modern diamond earrings, a harmonious blend of historical weight and contemporary elegance. Every piece told a story. Every choice honored a predecessor. The tiara that vanished for decades until now. And then there was Catherine. The Princess of Wales made headlines by debuting the Oriental Circlet tiara, a piece never before seen on her. And here's what makes this choice so significant. This tiara was designed entirely by Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's German-born husband, making it especially appropriate for German state guests. Prince Albert's vision. Prince Albert commissioned this masterpiece from Gerard in 1853 for £860, approximately £110,000 today. He didn't just order a tiara and let the jewelers decide what it should look like. He designed it himself, inspired by Indian jewels presented to Queen Victoria by the East India Company following the Great Exhibition of 1851. The original design featured 17 Mughal arches with opal-centered lotus flowers containing 2,600 diamonds. It was Prince Albert's vision, his artistic statement, his gift to his beloved wife. Transformation and controversy. But the tiara's early history was marked by controversy. In 1858, Queen Victoria's uncle, the King of Hanover, successfully claimed Queen Charlotte's diamonds, requiring their removal and replacement from the Oriental Circlet. Then came the opal transformation. Queen Alexandra believed opals were unlucky, a superstition that ran deep in royal circles. So she replaced them with Burmese rubies that had been gifted to Queen Victoria in the 1870s. The modification reduced the arches from 17 to 11 in 1902, fundamentally changing the piece's appearance. Prince Albert's original vision was altered, but the tiara gained a new identity. The Queen Mother's favorite. Here's where it gets interesting. The Oriental Circlet became one of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother's, favorite tiaras during her widowhood. She wore it regularly, clearly loving its architectural design. Despite being designated an heirloom of the crown upon Queen Victoria's death in 1901, meaning it should have passed to the reigning monarch, the Queen Mother retained it after her daughter's ascension in 1952. Elizabeth II's one-time wear. And Queen Elizabeth II? She wore it exactly once, one time in 70 years of reign. At a Malta state banquet in 2005, the Oriental Circlet made a brief appearance, and then it returned to the vault. Think about that. A tiara that the Queen Mother adored, that carried Prince Albert's artistic vision, that represented the height of Victorian craftsmanship, worn once by Queen Elizabeth II, and then locked away. After the Queen Mother's death in 2002, the tiara essentially disappeared from public view. It sat in the vault for years, a treasure hidden from the world, until Catherine decided to bring it back. Catherine's diplomatic message. Her decision to debut it for the German state visit honored both her husband's German ancestry through Prince Albert and the diplomatic occasion itself. She was wearing a piece designed by a German prince for his English queen, creating a bridge between nations through jewelry. She paired it with a sparkling blue Jenny Packham gown, creating an ensemble that bridged Victorian heritage with contemporary elegance. She also wore delicate diamond chandelier earrings that Queen Elizabeth II loaned to her shortly after her 2011 wedding to William Prince. This wasn't a formal bequest or an official loan from the royal collection. It was a personal loan from grandmother to granddaughter-in-law, demonstrating the special relationship between them. Every time Catherine wears those earrings, she carries a piece of that relationship with her. The museum pieces that came back to life. Princess Anne, the aquamarine pine flower tiara. Princess Anne brought her signature style with the aquamarine pine flower tiara, recently returned from the Victoria and Albert Museum exhibition. This tiara, part of a suite of aquamarine jewels, has been a staple in Anne's collection for decades. It reflects her consistent personal style and preference for substantial architectural pieces that make a statement. But here's what's significant about Anne's choice. She doesn't borrow from the royal vault. She wears her personal collection, pieces that belong to her, not to the crown. It underscores her independence and established position within the family. At 74, Anne has been a working royal for over 5 decades. She knows who she is, she knows what she likes, and she wears her own jewels with confidence. The Duchess of Gloucester, the Cartier Indian Tiara. The Duchess of Gloucester presented a magnificent display in the Cartier Indian Tiara, another piece just returned from the V&A exhibition. This spectacular tiara exemplifies the 1920s fascination with Indian-inspired design, featuring diamonds, sapphires, and pearls in an architectural sunburst pattern that catches the light from every angle. The tiara originally belonged to Princess Marie-Louise, Queen Victoria's granddaughter, who acquired it in 1937 for King George VI's coronation. She wore it to Queen Elizabeth II's coronation in 1953. And here's a delightful detail that humanizes royal pageantry. She famously hid sandwiches in her coronet during the ceremony. Hours of sitting in Westminster Abbey required practical thinking, even for a princess. Upon her death in 1956, Princess Marie-Louise bequeathed the tiara to her 12-year-old godson, Prince Richard of Gloucester. It entered his mother, Princess Alice's collection, and she had strong opinions about it. She found it much too heavy and described it as more like a mitre than a tiara. And she wasn't wrong. It's a substantial piece, architecturally impressive, but undeniably weighty. Despite its substantial size, the current Duchess of Gloucester wears it with remarkable grace, demonstrating how contemporary royal women adapt historical pieces to modern occasions. She doesn't shy away from its boldness. She embraces it, showing that these pieces aren't museum artifacts meant to be admired from a distance. They're living jewelry, meant to be worn, to tell stories, to create connections across generations. These women weren't just dressed for dinner. They were engaging in a form of communication that transcends language barriers and diplomatic speeches. They were honoring relationships, acknowledging shared heritage, and demonstrating that the past isn't something we leave behind. It's something we carry with us, transformed and renewed for each generation. From Letitia's tiara that symbolizes transformation and resilience, to Camilla's choice that honors continuity and tradition, to Catherine's debut that bridges nations and brings forgotten treasures back to light, to Anne and the Duchess of Gloucester, who remind us that personal style and heritage can coexist beautifully. Each piece tells a story. Each choice carries meaning. Each woman wears history on her head while creating new memories for future generations. So here's my question for you. Which piece surprised you most? Which tiara would you want to see return from the vaults next? Let me know in the comments below. And if you loved discovering these hidden stories behind the sparkle and glamour, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. There are so many more treasures waiting to be decoded, mysteries locked in vaults, stories hidden in gemstones, and diplomatic messages written in diamonds. Until next time, keep looking beyond the surface, because the most fascinating stories are often hidden in plain sight.